started out, it was very much a picture of what dance music and kind of old dance music, rediscovered dance music as well. It kind of draws a picture of London, pretty much, with soul jazz records.
Yes,
over the years.
London in 1990, a certain group of people were listening to the music that we were releasing, which was essentially old soul and jazz records from America in the 1960s and 70s.
Which brings us to the subject of tonight. You've just released a compilation, a double CD and double album of Lovers Rock, which is one, absolutely amazing, and two, I'm just intrigued by the whole history of Lovers Rock, and for those who don't know anything about it, could you give us the background and what is it?
Lovers Rock is a British invention of people who of Caribbean descent who migrated to Britain, who also had an interest in American soul and soul music. So Lovers Rock is essentially a triangular relationship between Jamaica, Britain and America. And the people who created it, for those of you who saw the film, the boat arriving at the end is as I said, is the Empire Windrush. So this is 1948. So 1950 is the first Jamaicans arrive in Britain. They've grown up, they're teenagers, most of them, they've grown up in Jamaica, they've experienced Jamaican culture and dance halls and music, and they bring that to England. They set up sound systems in Britain, and you have a small network. 15, 20 years later, the children of those first migrants are people who are born in Britain of Caribbean descent. They're born in Britain, whereas their parents are born in the Caribbean. Of this, a demographic of young girls, black girls, found themselves in a they became a new demographic, which was this British-born Jamaican or Caribbean heritage, and female, and finding themselves with being allowed to express themselves in a way that was new to.
Where did the name come from?
Lovers Rock is well, it was a producer who had a Jamaican migrated producer in England who had had a hit with a record, and he decided to start a record label, and he called it Lovers Rock, and that spread out very quickly to identify this new type of music, which was young girls singing love songs, usually American soul songs covered in a reggae style. Sensibility, they were Jamaica in the early 70s was very heavily into roots music. Roots music was very strident, serious, Rastafarian influenced music, very male-centric, and these women could not connect to it, particularly even though they have Jamaican heritage. It wasn't a thing that they weren't that into it, but also they didn't connect to it in a way that they did connect to American soul singers like Diana Ross or Minnie Riperton, and that's why you get a difference.
Who came out of, Lovers Rock, who created it? Who were the people?
Well, the first group is a group called Brown Sugar. The first, basically people of Caribbean descent would go to parties and they would listen to reggae records and they would listen to soul records from America. Of these records, some of them became very popular in England, whereas they didn't, unlike elsewhere. and they were people like, as I say, Minnie Riperton or Denise Williams, who were women who sang in very, very high voices, and they sang very slow songs, and this was to match soul songs played slowly, which is to match the tempo of reggae, which is also slow. So the first Lovers Rock records really are ones where it doesn't have a name, it's just records that become popular. And you have a few American and you have a few Jamaican. And then in England, the first record that's actually made is by a man called Lloyd Coxon, who owned a sound system. And he got into the studio, he asked to come into the studio a singer called Louisa Marks, who was 14 and a girl, and a musician called Dennis Clavell, and they cut the first Lovers Rock record.
What was it called?
It's called Caught You in a Lie, and it's a cover.
Song.
It's called it's a cover version of a New Orleans R&B song, soul song by a singer called Robert Parker, and they changed, which is the main difference. But also they had